We are on live. Give a
Hello,
little
everyone.
wave. This is Danny. I'm just checking on my phone that we're on. Sometimes I have sound issues. This has been quite common for me, but I do believe we're up and going. So, Danny, I met in, we're on now, a festival, the Awakening Festival in Wales, as some of you may know. And I've just been talking to Danny about my knowledge in this, spiritual war and about in different healings. And we thought we'd do a live just to help and maybe talk about what your vision was, really, because it was interesting. So I do different healing, and I learned how to do astral healing with inner child and the soul. But no one has ever quite had a vision of what happens, although I see it. So we thought we'd come on here and just talk about that, and then any other questions, or we were thinking about putting our groups together and maybe doing some like a weekly session of questions about health, spiritual awareness, what's going on, all these questions, or even a meditation group, maybe with men and women together or separately. So any of these ideas we're both open to, as much as can come together and help us in this awakening time. I think the better. What do you think?
I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Because it's been an interesting journey getting to this point.
Yeah.
Very much sort of starting to come to an understanding of who I am and what's been going on, and just finding out all these different aspects. So,
what do you mean, like this life and past life?
yeah,
just the whole, yeah.
everything. I mean, sort of. I got a glimpse of how you worked. I mean, how does that happen? There was me at that point. I'd gone to bed, gone quite deep into it, and then the next thing I know, I've got you stood in front of me, and my arms are moving, and you're sort of like being very, very strict and no sort of nonsense, sort of like, no, I'm not doing this. You're going to do it, and was showing me all these different ways. And I came around to it like, how does that just happened?
So what happened? Let's just explain. So you called me, I can't remember now, just to inquire about attachments, because I do a lot of attachment clearing and things like that. So there's let's say the reptilian and grey. I don't like to label things, but I've just done it. But there we go. There's attachments and spiritual attacks and psychic attacks in our energy field that can happen. And they hijack and they hop on and they cause communication problems. And my childhood trauma is abuse. And that's where that came from. And that's how I know this stuff. So anyway, that's why Danny called. And then he had a night vision of me coming in and doing my soul work as my Arcturian energy. So when he called me, I was like, how did you see that? So that's what I see, and that's what I do. So I see and feel when I astral travel the soul, and I can feel where there's a wound and it needs healing up, so I clear. But it's the first time ever in the last, I've been doing this to that level since COVID, the 3 years, but to have someone experience it. So I thought I'd come on and with Danny, with the idea, to explain it. And then what's happened since? So we had a session, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, and I was taken back to a point of when I was a slave and from Africa, and it was like, I mean, there was rope around my neck, and then you were describing in this moment that I had fallen and ended up with metal and it stayed with me energetically and was still very much here. And you helped to get me to clear that away, and kind of been going through the motions with it over the past couple of days. It's been intense.
Yeah. So what do you feel afterwards, actually? Yeah, because when I clear these, it's normally a past life has a death. And because it hasn't been able to have a peaceful past, it holds on to the trauma. So that's what normally I get called in, and then it tells me what age or where to clear the trauma. And so how have you felt since? Because it can be a bit of a up and down.
Yesterday I was feeling really angry, just everything, and I think again this is being felt a bit everywhere at the moment, but it was really intense, and for me it was the first time where I wasn't afraid of being angry. You know, I was allowing it to come out. Put some music on, and just anything that came to my head, I was saying it and really sort of feeling it as it was coming out. So, and then it sort of got to the evening, and once that had been released, it's just been like a whole weight's been lifted.
Mm-hmm. And this is what our experience is about, is processing the stored anger, which is actually from the trauma and fears. When we learn that we can express it, not just knowing it or being aware of it here, but just feeling it, that's what just lifts, like these shackles leave. And interestingly enough, I'm doing a video tomorrow, or live, sorry, on liver flushing, which is the organ that holds all the anger stored. It's all about the bile, and April is about this time as well. So we've got a lot of collective angers coming up. Plus we've got things to do about poisoning. I won't say the word, but these issues are to do with, it's meant to push us, whether we have the vaccine or not, it pushes us to wake up to our traumas, and our unprocessed traumas cause poison in the body, which is linked to these wood element and the metal element. And this goes back to my Chinese medicine degree, which is all about the elements and about how we are all manifesting this awakening to the spiritual war. It goes quite deep. It's quite hard to talk about, but it does all come back together like a puzzle, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing more on this, because this is just a whole
yeah,
other load of questions just going to start coming in now.
Huh?
We'll have another whole host of questions starting to come in.
Yeah. So the spiritual war, in my knowledge and awareness, has been going on since Egyptian times, since the pyramids were built, and this closed off consciousness from humanity. So here to here, and then in our body, the subconscious in the body, and the trauma in here, it all stores our memories. This is why we have things like allergies, diabetes, anything to do with the gut. It's all got the memory. But actually, this goes down. Another link with you is to do with foraging.
Yeah.
The wood element and the earth. And this is the organs here. It's in the diaphragm. So that's another reason, because you've got a lot of knowledge of that, which will be linked to your past life. So that's what you've come here to do as well.
Right. Okay. So
yeah,
this has just been something that's just been passed down like generations each time almost.
Well, normally we're linked to, like you're like foraging and going in and healing the earth. It's to do about our earth element, and then when we get enough, we can go down and help the earth that we're on, because she's actually in the battle.
Right. Okay. And in what respect is the battle sort of taking place now for the earth, and what's coming up?
So, well, this year is going to be quite strong, because we've got the king. There's a lot of things about the royalties and the kings and the queens, and then we've got Arcturian, Palladian, different galactical forces, and the darker forces come in and they hijack DNA. That's what happens. So that's why we're called all to do the soul work, to connect to our higher self, and to get our bubble, which is why they use the word bubble, is totally connected. So we're just communicating with ourselves. So as we know, when I go in and do the connection work or teach people how to connect, you then know that you're just connecting to your own information, which is the DNA. So that's right. When because you felt an attachment, you said, didn't you? You remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had been on one of my travels around that I tend to go to, and I stopped at Avebury Stone Circle. And once I left there, I started to not quite feel myself. And, you know, sort of, I started to notice that sort of like my ego had reverted back to victim mode and self-pitying. And I thought, well, this is strange, because it's been, you know, invincible, now being back. And I started to just sit with myself a bit. And I then started to be aware that there was something attached to me, and it then sort of took me back to a DMT ceremony that I'd had, where I'd seen this grey attachment on me, this little grey alien. And this is starting to see what was going on and where this had been affecting me throughout my life and where it had come from. Wanted to try and find out what to do about it, which is why I ended up coming to you.
It was interesting. It was at the Stone Circle, isn't it? So, I mean, these energies are all outside. So I know that we've got, let's say we've got 7 years. So COVID is here, the awakening. So as we awaken, and then we come into the information of focus and the third eye. So we got a little bit more into all of our awakening. So this knowledge and wisdom and a lot of information sharing. And then we come down into the throat, which is why COVID layer came into the strepsis with children. And now, as I know, we've got to go through the body. And this is where we actually really start to feel the pains of our traumas. Whether we do the work or not, the earth is holding us all like this, and she's pushing up. This is the ascending. And actually, our job is to come down into the body. So we bring heaven down to earth, and then we can all link and connect with our safe bubble and make this aura field. And then actually, we will connect to all galaxies, a little bit like Star Wars. Which is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they can't hook in to our low frequency trauma. So they have no power, the darker force. There's a war of jealousy over the planets and galaxies, like Avengers, like Star Wars. All of these part truth stories, imagination are all somewhere along the line. A soul has seen something, because that's how quantum physics works. You have to see something. Do you know what I mean? I'm going back
I do
now, but yeah. So imagination is a part truth of everything.
Well, yeah, and I'm certainly very much sort of learning this, that they've been putting truths in so many of these things that are out there, haven't they? It's just,
it gets a bit confused. I mean, I love Disney. There's a lot of truths in Disney, but there's a lot of twists and turns. But that's how coercive, that's how the system works. It gives you part truth, like COVID is part truth, but then how to treat it and how to behave with it twists and turns. So I've studied coercive manipulation for a long, long time because of trauma. But once we know, the control stops. So this is reality as we manifest it out, all outside. But it gives us our power back, and it means then we can manifest, and the world can come back how she used to be, like totally manifesting beautiful things from the body. And in the high level of the DNA, we were talking about this, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
Spiral, yeah. I should bring a picture, and maybe we'll come on next time. And I'll learn how to do these pictures. But the DNA goes up, and how to keep these communications up rather than pulling each other down. That spiral, because you were talking about frequencies of communication, isn't it, when we pull each other down?
Yeah, I mean, this is just something that I'm just very much starting to learn about, and look forward to hearing more about this, because at the moment it's kind of very
yeah.
And I'm sure
it gets quite deep, but then what it is, it's understanding that we actually have the power of everything, but it's just been locked away from us for thousands of years. And then that's why in the end, I mean, that's how I got to, in the end I was like, right, I just have to go in and sort my trauma out. I have to go and relive all of it. And then it doesn't go down, it starts coming up. It's like literally a light switch. This is about electricity and spiritual connection. Literally, it's actually quite sexual energy. The Kundalini turn on and turn off. It's the lines, the meridians that do this. Very physicsy. But I feel like I'm chatting away. Is there anything else you want to share?
Well, to be honest, I just quite enjoy listening at the moment. I'm taking in sort of what you're saying and sort of letting it sink in. But no, it's been actually a really lovely couple of days with it, to be able to experience sort of certain emotions and know it's okay to just express them in certain ways. And it's
that's good, because when I do the work, some people, you end up really feeling these emotions, but your body's strong enough to let the waves come in of that emotion, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that?
And I think as well, sort of leading up to that point of having that shackle removed, it was I became very aware of just how rigid I actually was.
Yeah, how does your neck feel now, or your back? Does it feel different?
Yeah, all right. Looser.
Yeah. A lot of these things and pains that we have, when I go into them, it literally shows me a whole past. I've taken hooks out of people, like metal hooks from a lot of slavery things, and witches and soldiers.
So
With
why do they
spears.
stay in there? Why do they stay in there?
Because at the time the soul has passed, it passed with no peace, and there was no burial, and it was all done with trauma. So when you go into fight and flight, your body actually disassociates, and it doesn't feel. So we are meant to just peacefully pass and have gratitude and know that we're passing and relieving up to the afterlife. Yeah, and that's to do with the pyramid and the triangle. The triangle is we're talking about Reiki's sign, but it's the triangle here, the 369. But there's another one up the other way, so you can connect to the body. But when you pass through trauma or any trauma, the body just disassociates. And then the soul has trouble being at peace. And if it can't be in peace, it can't communicate to the DNA.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I do a lot of the soul, not just the inner child stuff. Sometimes it wants that soul bit back before the inner child, because that's the most painful part in this life. But some of the things I see, a lot to do with battles, swords and shields and spears, and a lot of people being killed from speaking truth.
Yeah, I think that's something that's come up on mine on many occasions. So, and I sort of carried the sword with that. And, well, apparently now the sword is my voice.
Yeah, so the sword, I was talking to this with another client today, the sword is this vibration of the soul. And the spiritual war is beyond all the physical wars we've ever had on earth. So we're manifesting it all subconsciously. But the sword, this is how we do this, because when I do astral work, I often do things like this. And the sword within everyone, once you get the whole soul together, it vibrates this power of a shield.
Yeah.
Nothing can come in. Which is why the first war, or the first wars on earth, was all to do with armor, wasn't it? Metal and shields.
Yes.
Because there was no spiritual energy. The Kundalini had been taken, which is the soul.
And so now it's all just starting to come back up
now
again.
It's just guns, isn't it? Which is cardiac arrest. So the pressure, it's too much pressure, and it just puts out. So it's quite.
Well, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for coming on. I don't think I could talk forever, really, especially when I start flowing. But we put this on, and we'll maybe to do some meditation work, how to clear energies, how to connect, whatever is needed, wanted, whatever to share, really. We can come and do something. You talked about working with men as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm very much looking to try and just bring men together and actually get to this point of actually that it's okay to be vulnerable. You don't have to be
to talk, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to try and live up to this false ideology of what a man's meant to be, because it's just sort of it's okay for us men to get together and cry things out. It needs to happen. And I'm gonna share this to the groups and that we've got, and then see if we can start just getting this happened, because we need to see more of it.
Yeah, and I feel quite I've been abused by men in most of my life, and I do know now the research I had to do spiritually and very physically was that their male energy being under attack by reptilian energy, and that's what they were doing, stealing the Kundalini, the spirit, the soul. So I'm very happy, or whatever I can do, maybe to clear energy or do anything. But again, that we need men, soul warriors as well, to really bring this armor of protection as well. And it's not being taught correctly for thousands of years. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, so hopefully over the coming weeks and months, we might start to see a bit more of a get together of some of us men and starting this path going, because it really does need to start happening.
Yeah, it's all right to grieve and let it go, and that's how we become strong in our energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many of the emotions that, and like I say, for me, fear has been something that's terrified. Anger is something that's terrified me.
Yeah.
My traumas. You see angry men that are violent with it. That's my idea of what anger is, and it's always kept me down. So I think how many other sort of men are sort of not knowing how to process a certain emotion.
Yeah, I've been told a lot of anger is going to go. So anger is a reaction to fear. So as if we're not in control of our fears or not process our fears, it comes out, and then it's anger. And because men are quite strong, it comes out like that. So it's holding it and making it, rather than coming out and attacking. Funny, because the liver attacks it. If we can come out, and that's the rising. The fears can come from the lower jaw, and it comes right up, bypasses the anger, fight, and it comes up here into the heart and the groin. So that's what I'm here to help with, male, female, whatever. But yeah. That's what these energies are getting stronger on Earth. So it's about learning to rise it up safely.
So, where can people sort of find the group that you're going to be sort of putting up?
No idea yet.
It will come when it's
No
meant to.
idea. But let's put this out there and then see what we can not manifest, because it's about doing, isn't it?
It's just going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, but just seeing what the need is first, because can just see what people. Or just information or certain groups. There's a lot of different issues going on, so it just depends what's needed, I think, and where we can help.
Well, let's see if we can get this sorted so it goes across the different groups next time, and then we can try and get as much coming in from as many different people as we can, and then see where we go from there.
So
on that one.
drop us any questions or any support from any of our angles or channels, and we'll be back. Thank you. That was good.
Thank you very much.
I'm a bit nervous. Very excited at the same time. All right.
Brilliant.
Lots of love.
Lots of love to everyone.